everyone. I am Genevieve R. Catalonia, and today I will be discussing the Article 21. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights is The Universal Declaration of Human Rights is an international document adopted by the United Nations, generally assembly that enshrines the rights and freedom of all the human beings. So first, everyone has the right to take part in the government of his country directly or through freely chosen representatives. All of us has a freedom to represent ourselves to our country. So example, si Manny ang ating pambansang kamo is si Manny Pacquiao siya is nagrepresenta siya sa ating Pilipinas. Second is, everyone has the right to equal access of his country. The will of the people shall be the basis of the authority of the government. This shall be expressed in the periodic and genuine elections, which shall be held and be secret vote or by equivalent free voting procedures.
So hello everyone, I'm Regine Pearl Cortez from Bachelor of Science in Information Technology 1B. So I will be the second reporter of Group 2. So my topic is all about Article 5, Section 1 and 2 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution. So the Section 1 is the suffrage may be exercised by all citizens of the Philippines not otherwise disqualified by law, who are at least 18 years old of age, who shall have resides in the Philippines for at least 1 year in the place wherein they propose to vote for at least 6 months immediately preceding the election. No literacy property or other substance regard shall be imposed to the exercise of the suffrage. So, all Filipinos national who are at least 18 years old are not otherwise barred from voting by law and have a leave in the Philippines for at least a year and the location where intended cast their ballots for at least 6 months prior the election are eligible to vote. Voting shall not be subject to any substantial requirements including literacy, property, or other. So the section 2 is that the Congress shall provide a system for securing the secrecy and sanctity of a ballot, as well as a system for absentee voting by the qualified Filipinos abroad. The Congress shall also design a procedure for the disabled and the illiterate to vote without the assistance of others person. Until then, they shall be allowed to vote under the existing laws and such rules as Commission on Election may promulgate to protect the secrecy of a ballot. So, a means of absentee voting, the eligible Filipinos who are living abroad must be provided by the Congress as well as way to ensure the confidentiality and integrity of the voting progress. So, the Filipinos' right to suffrage is the foundation of the electoral process of the Filipino are not allowed to vote freely, then the whole process of election becomes absorbs and superfluous. So the Congress must also devise a method that allows the illiterate and disabled to cast their the ballots independently to ensure the confidentiality of the ballot until the time the Commission on Election may impose restriction on their ability to vote. So Article 2, Section 1 of the 1987 Philippines Constitution. The Philippines is the democratic and republican state. Sovereignty resides in the Filipino and all the government authority emanates from them. So the qualification and disqualification of the voter, all citizen of the Filipinos 18 years of age or over and residents of the Philippines for 1 year and for at least 6 months in the city or municipality wherein he or she proposes to vote immediately preceding the election are qualified to vote. So, the following shall be disqualified from voting: any person who has been sentenced by the final judgments to suffer imprisonment for not less than 1 year. However, he/she may require the right of the to vote upon expiration of 5 years after service of a sentence. So any person who has been adjudged adjudged by the final judgment by the component court of a tribunal of having committed any crime involving disloyalty to the July contributed government such as rebellion, sedition, violation of anti-subversion and firearms laws, or any crime against national security, unless restored to his/her full civil and political rights in accordance with the law, provided that he/she shall regain his right to vote automatically upon the expiration of 5 years after service of a sentence. So insane and or component or, co- or incompetent person as declared by competent authority. So in addition of RA 1989 or the overseas absentee voting law entitles all Filipino citizens overseas, not otherwise disqualified by law, and immigrants the department resident with, aff- with affidavit of intent to resume residence in the Philippines to vote for elective position on the national level. So here we are, the president, vice president, senator, and party list representative. These are the national level of the election. So election and democracy. The Constitution guarantees that we are sovereign Filipinos from where all government authority derives sovereignty or the power of the government is exercised directly through suffrage and direct democracy instrument and direct through official elected by the people as their public servants. The will of the Filipino then is expressed to clean or orderly and honest elections. The, the election are part of the system of representative democracy complemented by the system of the direct democracy. So that's all my report and thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Ivan D. Calves. I am from BSIT 1B. The topic that I will be discussing is the specific mechanisms. Since the enactment of the 1987 Constitution, elections for president and vice president are held every 6 years, while elections for senators and members of the House of Representatives and local government officials occur every 3 years. And at the local level, barangay elections and sangguniang kabataan elections are also held periodically. From 1993 onwards, elections for the Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao or ARMM were held. The 1996 and the 2008 ARMM elections also served as a pilot test for the automated system of elections. So, aside from voting in elections, our constitution mandates other mechanisms to advance democratization and citizens' participation in governance. The system of initiative and referendum gives the people power to direct, enact, propose, and reject laws both and at the local and the national levels. So the people has the power to select a, a people who will govern the people, and also And also through initiative, the people may directly propose amendments to the Constitution by a petition of at least 12% of the total number of registered voters, in which 3% of registered voters in each direct legislative legislative district is represented. Through plebiscites or referenda, the people approve or reject the call for a constitutional convention to propose changes to the constitution. Approve or reject proposed changes in the constitution and at the both the local and national levels express their will with respect to certain issues. The role of non-government organizations in government is recognized. So the people were being recognized by the government, and the party list system of representation allows for marginalized and their representative sectors to be represented in the national legislature. The system serves as an attempt to depart from the personalistic character of the political and electoral system by giving focus to the party and its issue-based platform. The Constitution and the 1991 Local Government Code or LGC and uh, mandate sectoral representation in the legislative bodies of local governments. And the participation is also provided for the local government. People participation is also provided for by the local government code through representation in consultative bodies such as the local health boards, local school local school boards, local peace and order councils, and local development councils at all levels. At all school at all local levels. There is also the LGC mandated barangay assembly. People's assembly are meeting uh, of all over 15-year-old residents of the barangay. The assembly has the power to hear and pass upon the report of the sangguniang barangay's performance. It can also recommend measures for legislation by the SB. The barangay assembly is one manifestation The barangay assembly is one manifestation of people's power and a truly direct and participatory democratic exercise. The latest development in upholding the right of suffrage is Republic Act 9189 9189. Republic Act 9189, which provides for a system of absentee voting for qualified Filipinos abroad. Election process. Next is the election process in 2010 and beyond. This section will guide the citizen voter not only in the exercise of right to vote, but also in monitoring the electoral process. In an in an automated election system or AES. Moderni- moderni- modernization and automation of the electoral process dates back to the 1982 COMELEC Modernization and Excellence Project or Operation MODEX, which includes development in 8 components, which is the legal framework, the registration, election process, education campaign, information technology system, facilities, institutional structure, and personnel. Election modernization and automation generally aims to speed up the election process and come up with results and reduce the reduce the risk for human error or fraud or panloloko. Republic Act 93 69 enacted in 2007, amended Republic Act 8436 or the Election Automation Law, which mandated the use of an automated election system or AES in the country. This system will comprise the use of appropriate technology for registration, voting, counting of votes, and canvassing transmittal of election results. Previous attempts at the modernization mod- previous, pre, previous attempts at modernization in terms of automating the election process include a pilot test of optical mark reader or OMR technology in the 1986 autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao ARMM elections. Autonomous region. The partial automation using OMR technology in the ARMM provides during the 1998 national and local elections and the halted nationwide implementation of centralized automated counting system for the 2004 elections and the on fourth the pilot test of a fully automated election system in 2008 ARMM election. In the 2010 national and local elections, the citizen voter takes part in the country's first nationwide fully automated election system. From shading marks in the official ballot, counting of votes to transmission and canvassing of elections.
So hello everyone. So this time I will talk about powers and function of public servants. So this time I will talk about the three branches in the Philippine government, no, and their purposes and their uses also. So first is the executive. It control of all executive departments and all implementing agencies, the government, appointment of high officials in the government, heads of executive departments, cabinet members, ambassadors, public ministers, consuls, officers of the armed forces, seeing to the execution and implementation of laws and policies that the legislative branch has created. Loyal government units also exercise executive functions through the governors of provinces, municipal and city mayors. So the second is legislative. So this was the statute making, constitution making, and amending of constitution, appropriations, financial functions, power of the purse, oversight function, informational or the power to conduct inquiries in aid of legislation. So the third is judiciary. On the other hand, is tasked to resolve the conflicts that may arise from the interpretation of the laws created by Congress and is seen as the ultimate arbiter between the executive and the legislative branches of the government, with the Supreme Court being the highest court of the land. Members of the judiciary are appointed by the President. So this time I will talk about what are the purposes or the qualification of being a president. So first, so you need to be a natural born citizen of the Philippines, a registered voter. The third is able to read and write. The fourth is at least 40 years of age on the day of the election, and a resident of the Philippines for at least 10 years immediately preceding election. So that is how important that is how a president, how significant president is. So bago ka ma-qualified ani as a president, so you need to follow this qualification first, no. So the next is the vice president. So what is the purpose or the uses of vice president? So in the event that the president is unable to perform his or her duties because of death or permanent disability, or should be the president be impeached, the vice president shall take over responsibility. So the vice president shall be elected and can be removed from the office in the same manner as that of the president. So the third is the Senate and the House of Representatives. So where no president, the vice president shall have been chosen or shall have been qualified, or where both shall have died or become permanently disabled. So the President of the Senate, or in case of his or her inability, the Speaker of the House of, of Representatives shall act as President until a President or a Vice President shall have been chosen and qualified. No? So from the 1987 Philippine Constitution. So makasabot man mo ani gid no. So those who wish to run for Senate should have the same qualification as of the President or Vice President, except that he or she need only be 35 years old and above. Those who intend to run the lower house should at least be 25 years old and should possess the qualification as that of the President. Aside from the general qualification required of the political candidates, voters must also consider looking into a candidate's track.
So the voters' behavior reflects the personalistic and patronage orientation of the traditional politics, the so-called trapo. Also, the patronage politics thrive in a culture where the government leaders becomes a politician who serves a patron accommodating special favor to dole out money or provide jobs, recommendations, and contract to only a few in exchange for votes in a succeeding elections or support for a political agenda. A common element of patronage culture is utang na loob. The powers that can be used this to ensure that their political and economic interests will be served. For instance, a powerful politician may invite a candidate to run under his political party, and in return, the candidate will feel indebted and eventually feel pressured to support the political agenda of his benefactor, even if he is opposed to said agenda. For the poor, giving their supports to candidate is seen as an investment so that they can depend on politician for help. Like for example, the donations, the medicine, the school fees, and etc. Campaign supporters view their help as a personal favor that the elected official should perceive a utang na loob. In return, they expect the official to accept personal invitations from their organizations to comply with personal requests for donations, to award them perhaps with a government position upon electoral victory. So, in preparation for a coming selection, people with plans running for public office would be seen attending public functions from barangay like community to provincial level. For constituents at the national level, candidates engage themselves in the media exposure determined by popularity of the candidates. So conversely, voting has always been determined by popularity of the candidates and financial and party machinery, which enhances the popularity of a candidate. Elections now become a high spending process to detriment of the candidates who have. Good day, everyone. My name is Kisifate M. Conja from Section IT1B, your seventh presenter for today. The topic will be voters' behavior and elections. So, what is voters' behavior? Voting behavior is a form of electoral behavior. Also, voting behavior is often influenced by voters' loyalty. So, voters' behavior and elections. Voting behavior and elections is there is a mix of satisfaction on how issues are dealt with by the party. there is a correlation between how the voters find the satisfaction of what the party has achieved and dealt with a situation, and then the intention of voting for the same party again. So, in the candidate's public servant image, the candidate's popularity, political machinery, endorsement of traditional network. These are the four of the electorate factors of a Filipino voters. So, voters' behavior and elections. In March 4, 2004, the Pulse Asia survey, the youth do not differ from the age group in their desired traits for a national leader. According to March 2004, the Pulse Asia survey, the youth that do not differ from other age group in their desired traits for national leader. The top traits were the proper is knowledgeable and has experience in management of government, the trustworthy can enforce the law of equally for influential and ordinary people. The praise often to God, godly, sincere, and fight anomalies in government. In March 2007, the Pulse Asia survey. That year, in March 2007, a Pulse Asia conducted the same survey with the following results as the most important characteristic that a national leader should possess, like hardworking, relates well to others, can give hope to most Filipinos, has integrity and a good reputation, produces as good results, announces his or her stand on important issues, and his or her proposed in programs. The 79% to 90% in 2004, these are the voters that registered below 55 years old that were aware of political ads. Furthermore, it has been reported that 79 to 90% of registered voters below 55 years old were aware of political ads in 2004, and with a slight increase to 88% to 94% in 2007. The conducted of elections is made complex by the practices and values, which in turn are reflective of the behavior and attitude of the electorate and the politicians, and of the actual practices before, during, and after elections. Further, voter behavior reflects.
Good day everyone, my name is Christine Katambak, and now let's continue the discussion. Let's talk about the vision of good government, leaders, and the citizen voter. The UN Handbook of the Legal, Technical, and the Human Rights aspect of elections defines the suffrage as more than the right to vote during elections. The Handbook of the Legal, Technical, and the Human Rights aspect of elections ay tumutukoy sa suffrage or pagboto bilang sa pagkakaroon ng kaalaman ng karapatang bumoto sa panahon ng halalan. At tinutukoy nito ang apat na mahalaga at magkakaugnay na karapatan. First is the right to take part in government or karapatang makilahok sa gobyerno. Second, the right to vote and be elected or karapatang bumoto at mahalal. Third one is the right to equal access to public office. Ang karapatang ito ay naglalaman ng pagkakaroon ng pagkakapantay-pantay sa pagpasok sa opisina ng gobyerno. pampublikong katungkulan. And the last one is the right to self-determination. At ang karapatang ito ay naglalayon ng pagkakaroon ng pagpapasya sa sarili. Ang sistema ng elektoral ay hindi dapat mabahiran ng anumang pandaraya o karahasan upang makagawa ng isang lehitimong resulta. Dahil ang pagiging lehitimo ng susunod na pamahalaan ay namamalagi sa tapat at malayang paggamit ng karapatan ng mga tao sa pagboto at sa bukas na pamamahala ng sistema ng Commission of Elections. Ang pamahalaan, ang mga pinuno at ang mga mamamayang botante ay nahaharap ngayon sa hamon ng pagsusulong ng iba't ibang mga saloobin at pananaw tungo sa isang sistema na mas malawak at tunay na partisipasyon ng mga katutubo sa politika at pamamahala at tungo sa kapanahunan sa politika ng mamamayan. The government, the leaders, and the citizen voter. Government or pamahalaan. Pagsusulong ng demokratisasyon at mabuting pamamahala. Good governance. Making available a meaningful and accessible election process. Upagawa ng isang makabuluhan at madaling paraan ng halalan. Pag-maximize sa mga benepisyo ng mga demokratikong mekanismo para sa interes at kapakanan ng lahat ng sektor ng lipunan, particular na ang marginalized at underrepresented sektor. Pagtiyak ng agenda ng pamahalaan at ang mga programang pagkilos ay tunay na mga bagong politika at mga bagong uri na sumasalamin sa agenda ng tao. Pagsusulong ng mga bagong politika at mga bagong uri ng mga pinuno na umaakit sa partisipasyon ng mga mamamayang botante sa pagtakbo ng mga gawain at ng pamahalaan. Leaders. Capitalizing on the program of action and public service rather than on popularity in winning election. If you are a leaders in a government, kailangan mong bigyan ng pagpapahalaga ang pagserbisyo sa pamahalaan at sa pampublikong lugar. Sa halip na katanyagan sa pagkapanalo sa halalan lamang, and promoting the innovation government and engaging the citizens' stake in government. Next is citizen voters. Ang paggamit ng karapatang bumoto at ang tungkuling bantayan ang mga integridad ng boto mismo mula sa anumang mapanlinlang na pamamimigay at paggamit ng konsensya sa pagpili ng tamang pinuno. At ang panghuli, pangangalaga at pagtatanggol sa mga demokratikong mekanismo at institusyon.